So is it fatness that's causing heart disease? Or is it fat phobia that's causing heart disease?
This is clearly a gold mine for great comedy. So, let's go make fun of people.
Hey, hope everyone's doing really well today. We are looking at TikToks and we're going to talk about them.
All right, so here's the attention that you ordered. If me talking about how thin women perpetuate fat phobia in a way that is damaging and harmful not only to themselves, but to women in society in general, fine. If that makes you uncomfy, having that conversation, you're just quite frankly not ready to have that conversation, which is fine. I never said this was a safe space, especially not for thin women. It's not really fat women's job anymore to make thin women feel better about themselves. We're kind of done with that. We're kind of over it. So your insecurities, very bottom tier of my priority list, to be honest with you.
I cannot even fathom what it's like to have low self-esteem, and I can fathom just about anything.
I keep seeing this content about F off thin people unless you're here to listen or acknowledge your privilege. And I just don't understand this strategy. Successful social movements follow similar patterns. I think this movement is easily a radical movement as opposed to reformative or other kinds. But for any movement to be successful, it has to be adopted by the mainstream. And you might say, well, if 70% of Americans are overweight or obese, then they are the mainstream. But mainstream here is more complex than that. Think about Occupy Wall Street for a second. The popular rhetoric was, we are the 99%. And that's true, still true, but what did that mean ultimately? And unfortunately, these influencers' voices are the loudest in the movement, and they are creating an active disconnect from the mainstream. I will say again, you have to be critical of any movement you really care about, especially if you're a part of it. It might be cathartic to make these F thin people TikToks, but is it worth it to further alienate yourself? And on that note, we have this TikTok of Jilly dancing behind the words, "Fat people are some of the most incredible individuals you'll ever meet, but you would never know because you can't stand us." And it's a bit ironic, right? In the midst of this other rhetoric. I know she's right because I've judged people for other things, and if I had acted on those judgments, then I would have missed out on some of the most amazing people I've ever met in my life. And I think it's a powerful experience to be proved wrong that way. But replace fat people with any kind of people here, and it's still true, but not always true.
Okay, some people are helpers, some are destroyers.
I don't care. I don't care.
Okay.
I really don't give a I really don't.
This is her reply to a comment that basically says, "I'm pro Anna and I love to watch your videos when I restrict. It makes me feel so superior." And her only reply is, "I don't care," on a page that she's entirely dedicated to realistic recovery from ED. I'm just gonna leave that there.
This is not healthy.
And here's why. Heart disease.
So this guy in this video says that we should not be talking about fat people as healthy because of all of the heart disease risk factors that are linked to obesity. Keyword here, linked. You know what other factors are serious risk factors for heart disease? Stress, poverty, and lack of access to preventative medical care. Fat people experience job discrimination routinely, and it has been documented in scholarly research. And when we do get hired for jobs, we are less likely to be promoted and on average are paid less money compared to thin people. Fat people can also be denied health insurance or upcharged for health insurance. So those two things combined contribute to the heart disease risk factor of poverty and lack of preventative medical care. On top of the fact that whenever we go to see a doctor, everything is blamed on our weight, whether or not the problems we have actually stem from our weight. The third factor that I initially mentioned that really contributes to heart disease is stress. Can you imagine how stressful it is to go through your life dealing with all of that? And then on top of that, all of the yo-yo dieting and weight cycling that fat people tend to go through, throughout the course of our lifetimes because of fat phobia. Studies have literally shown that people who experience higher levels of discrimination are more at risk for heart disease. So is it fatness that's causing heart disease? Or is it fat phobia that's causing heart disease?
I like that. I didn't do anything wrong because I can't do anything wrong. Because we're all just products of our environment, bouncing around like marbles in the game of Hungry Hungry Hippos that is our random and cruel universe.
This is really just too much to unpack everything. It could be a whole video in itself. Obviously, stress is not good for heart health at all, obviously. However, almost each of the major risk factors for developing heart disease are symptoms of obesity. Risk factors like high cholesterol or triglyceride levels, or even diabetes. I have to say though, flipping this narrative of fat phobia over itself to make it both the cause and symptom of everything related to fat is truly artful. This circular logic isn't compelling anyone outside of your group though. It might sound harsh, but this just sounds really weak and crazy ignorant to me. The most powerful thing you can do for yourself when you're experiencing stress, discrimination, poverty, is really take care of yourself physically and mentally. And learning how to do that is what would yield a lot more positive results than normalizing unhealthy coping that evolves into unhealthy lifestyle.
My significant other has gained weight and now I'm not attracted to them anymore. What should I do? You should unpack that. If you are entering into a long-term relationship with somebody, marrying them even, and you expect their body to remain unchanged through their entire life, hello? Have you heard of the aging process? How about childbirth? How about trauma or an accident? What about becoming disabled or being diagnosed with a chronic illness? How about beginning a new medication? There are so many reasons why our bodies change because it's normal. Your lack of common sense around basic human anatomy is not your partner's issue to deal with.
Oh, but am I not allowed to have a preference?
No, babe, that's actually a bias, and you need to go back to your corner and start working on them. I mean all of them. Misogyny, racism, homophobia, transphobia, ableism, ageism, every single one of those things that all of us harbor inside. Turn around and go think about it. Because if you don't, every single relationship in your life will be affected at some point. Bridges will be burned. Romantic, platonic, familial, professional, all of those things are impacted by your preferences. So you need to work on it, not yell at other people about how they need to change to make you comfortable.
But I'm just worried about their health.
Then help with that. If they used to be really active and they're no longer active, how are you supporting them in picking up that hobby again? Are they drinking really heavily? What are you doing to support them through that? How are you going to encourage them to embark on a healthier coping mechanism? Is their mental health doing okay? I'm gonna guess not when they have a partner who has a shallow understanding of what love and relationships are supposed to be. If you're getting ready to open up my comments and pop off at me, do know that I am talking directly about you. If you feel attacked, good. Your hollow understanding of what a loving relationship should be is embarrassing.
Your failures are your own, old man!
Halfway through this, all I could think is, please stop yelling at me. I don't get why her content is so aggressive, but really, I don't think people asking for this advice are people whose partner have an illness or legitimate reason for weight gain. I'd imagine it's more the very last scenario she brushed over right at the end, a change in lifestyle or diet. So I'm going to focus on that. I think a significant change in lifestyle or behavior is a fair thing to address in a serious relationship. So what happens when you encourage your partner to get back into shape with you or eat better food with you and they just aren't interested? It's actually okay for everyone's answer to be different to that. I fail to understand how this personal preference impacts your entire social network, and I don't think it's close to fair to escalate it to transphobia, racism, sexism. If your preference as a man is to date men, that doesn't make you by default a sexist misogynist. So unless your preferences are directly harmful, I don't think you need to go in the corner and think about them. I think they're actually nobody's business, and the fact that they bother this person so much is really her own stuff to work out. And I want to end today with a before and after video.
I took I took some time off to rest, and now it's game time. You have no...
So on her account, it says that she's lost 120 pounds. She's looking and feeling amazing. And she also does free fitness coaching. So if anyone's interested, I'm going to link her TikTok in the comments again. We are at the end. Thank you for making it here. If you're still here, say hey to me in the comments and let me know what you thought about the video down below. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And I'll see you in the next video. Everyone take care until then.